everything's fine. It's about seeing the storm and choosing to build anyway, because positivity, when forged in pain, becomes power. It's how you bend without breaking, how you rise while others retreat. The question is, when life tests you, will you surrender or stay lit from within? In a few moments, I'll teach you how to stay strong and think positive, even when life feels really hard. Your mind is the battlefield. There are days when the world seems to close in on you, when the sky turns gray, the wind howls with problems, and you feel buried under the weight of worry. But let me ask you, where does the storm truly rage? Outside or inside your own thinking? Life doesn't crush you with what it gives. It crushes you with how you interpret what it gives. And so the battle is not out there. It begins and ends in the mind. You must understand that every setback, every failure, every moment of pain is not the enemy. The real adversary is the thought that says, this is the end. But what if you trained your mind to answer back, this is the beginning? Imagine this. You walk through a hallway in complete darkness. Most people stop. They panic. But you stretch your hand, feel the wall, take one small step forward. That's belief. That's power. You might ask, but what if I fail again? What if it hurts more? Then you get up again. You build a habit of resilience. Not once, not twice, but daily. Like a blacksmith shapes iron, the fire, the hammer, the rhythm of repetition. Shape your mind in the same way. You control your thoughts, or they control you. So ask yourself, are you nurturing courage or feeding doubt? When the mind is governed by fear, every challenge looks like a monster. But when governed by faith, every challenge is just another wall to climb. You decide whether today becomes a tombstone or a turning point. The choice is not in what happens. The choice is in how you think about what happens. Purpose pulls you through pain. Pain becomes unbearable only when it's meaningless. But the moment you attach your pain to a purpose, it transforms into fuel. You are not made to endure blindly. You are made to endure forward. Think of a man digging a tunnel with his bare hands. He bleeds, he bruises, but he knows that on the other side there is light, freedom, something worth fighting for. It is not the hardship that breaks him. It is forgetting what he is digging toward. So I ask you, what are you digging toward? When life strikes, your first instinct may be to ask, why me? But shift that to, for what? For what lesson? For what preparation? For what future calling? Think of every struggle as a sacred training ground, not punishment, preparation. Imagine yourself trudging through the rain, soaked and cold, but in your hand is a letter you must deliver, a message the world desperately needs. Would you stop or would you press on? Purpose makes the pain worth it, and every moment you feel like quitting, remember, there's someone waiting on the other side of your perseverance. Maybe it's your future self. Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's someone watching your example. Don't allow temporary discomfort to rob you of eternal reward. The man with a mission walks taller, even through the storm. So what is your mission? Name it and let it pull you forward. You become what you expect. A person who expects to lose, loses long before the battle begins. Expectation is not just a silent thought. It is a force, a magnet. A builder or a breaker. You do not get what you want. You get what you expect. Walk through life expecting failure, and your feet will drag. Your eyes will drop, and your voice will tremble. But walk through life expecting greatness, and something powerful begins to shift inside you. Shoulders rise, eyes sharpen, action intensifies. Not because the world changed, but because your inner world took command. Now ask yourself, what are your dominant expectations? Are you waking up expecting opportunity or disaster? Are you preparing for growth or retreat? Imagine two farmers. One prepares his soil, sharpens his tools, and plants with care. The other watches the sky and says, it might not rain. Which one will reap the harvest? You must discipline your mind to expect victory. Not wish for it, expect it. That does not mean blind arrogance. It means trained confidence. It means saying, I will win because I must win. I will grow because I refuse to remain small. So look around your life, your relationships, your health, your finances. What are your expectations building right now? And more importantly, are you brave enough to raise them? Resilience is a daily decision. You don't become resilient by reading about it. You become resilient by living it, not once, not twice, but every single day. Resilience is not a moment of strength, it is a daily decision to show up, to continue, to rebuild. There will be moments when the door slams in your face, when the ones you trusted most walk away without explanation, when the plans you nurtured with all your energy collapse like paper in the rain. And in that moment, you will face a decision. Will I retreat or will I rebuild? That choice is the seed of resilience. Not your muscles, not your medals, not your degrees or accolades. Resilience is forged not in moments of applause, but in moments of silence, when no one sees, when no one claps, when only you know what it costs to rise. Picture a craftsman, chisel in hand, whose masterpiece breaks halfway through. The grain splits, the hours of carving wasted. But does he curse the wood? No. Does he throw the tools aside? No. He starts again, with patience, with precision, with purpose. Why? Because the vision is stronger than the setback. And what about you? Maybe you've faced dreams that shattered at the peak. Maybe someone you loved turned their back. Maybe the career you built was taken away in an instant. But the truth remains, you can start again. Not weaker, not bitter, but wiser. You are not broken, you are built. Built by every fall you endured, every tear you wiped, every no you turned into a louder yes. Resilience isn't the absence of pain. It is the refusal to be defined by it. So I ask you today, what would happen if you decided to be unbreakable? What would change if, instead of fearing another fall, you prepared to rise stronger from it? The world doesn't need more perfection. It doesn't need more applause chasers. It needs more people like you who know how to lose and still lead, who know how to grieve and still build. Every morning you choose to rise again, you are writing a story worth reading. And that story, it's not about what stopped you. It's about what refused to keep you down. Your resilience is your quiet, defiant anthem, not of what you endured, but of who you became. So decide now, will you retreat or will you rebuild? Because the truth is, you were never meant to stay down. You were meant to rise. Faith in yourself is the first wealth. Before any man builds a fortune, he must first build belief. Long before gold fills his coffers or success crowns his name, there is a whisper inside him that dares to say, I can. This whisper is not born in wealth nor taught in schools. It is discovered in silence, the silence of a man daring to face himself. Faith in yourself is not vanity. It is responsibility, because if you doubt your worth, you will doubt your work. And if you cannot trust your step, you will never take the first one. You cannot lead a team, inspire a family, or build a legacy if you have not first accepted that your voice matters, your mind is valuable, and your actions carry weight. Consider the captain of a vessel steering into uncharted waters. The stars may guide him, but the crew follows his confidence. If he trembles at every gust of wind, the ship will sway. If he questions his course, the voyage will stall. But if his hands are steady and his voice firm, even the storm begins to listen. You are that captain, and your belief must anchor you deeper than any fear. Now, picture yourself standing before a door. On the other side, opportunity, destiny, your true call. But above the frame, a sign reads, only those who believe may enter. This is not metaphor, this is reality. Most people hesitate. They wait for proof before they act. They wait for applause before they speak. But you must choose to walk in. To knock, not because you're certain of the answer, but because you're certain of your ability to handle whatever comes. Ask yourself with urgency, what would change if you fully trusted yourself? What dreams would you chase? What risks would you stop avoiding? What excuses would you bury for good? Belief is not a luxury. It is the root of all progress. It is the first stone in every strong foundation. Every empire, invention, and idea began with someone who decided they were worth the effort. And if today you don't yet believe, then act like someone who does. Carry yourself with conviction. Speak with strength. Move with purpose. Because the mind follows the body's courage. Action precedes belief, and belief precedes every victory worth earning. No one hands you permission to believe in yourself. You must claim it, and once you do, the world begins to respond, not because it changed, but because you did. So stand tall, walk forward, and remind yourself, before you build the dream, build the belief. Because the man who says, I can, changes everything, starting with himself. Discipline builds inner light. When darkness surrounds you, it's not more light from the outside you need. It's a fire within. And that fire is called discipline. Not the harsh, punishing kind, but the steady, self-directed force that whispers again and again, no matter what happens, I will keep going. Discipline does not arrive with a trumpet. It does not knock on your door with applause. It begins in silence, in small choices, waking up when you said you would, finishing the work you promised yourself, choosing honesty when lying would be easier, listening when you'd rather speak. Every time you say yes to what builds you and no to what breaks you, you feed the flame that lights your way. You build your inner lantern. Picture yourself climbing a mountain, alone. The weather is brutal. The sky grows darker. You see no sign of the peak. Your muscles ache. The air thins. But you take one step, then another. Not because the path is easy, but because there is a voice within that says, this is who I am. That voice wasn't born overnight. It was built, brick by brick, through acts of discipline. Not in grand moments, but in the quiet ones. When no one else was watching, when quitting seemed easier, when comfort whispered its tempting song, you didn't listen. You chose the harder right over the easier wrong. Ask yourself now, have you been waiting for the right mood to start your change? Have you been hoping that motivation will strike like lightning? Or are you training yourself to move regardless of the weather in your soul? The ones who master their fate do not rely on emotion. They rely on practice. They train consistency like a soldier trains strength, daily, repeatedly, faithfully. Discipline does not shout. It does not beg for attention. It whispers. And if you are quiet enough to hear it and humble enough to obey it, it will lead you to a place few ever reach. A place where peace is not earned through ease, but through effort. Where your joy is not shaken by circumstances, because it was not built on comfort. Storms will come. That is not a question. Pain will test you. Doubt will knock. Fatigue will whisper, just rest a little longer. But if your foundation is made of daily discipline, no storm can carry you away. Your anchor will hold. Your steps will steady. Your purpose will burn bright. Discipline is not a burden. It is a gift, a path, a promise you keep to yourself, and every day you keep it, your flame grows stronger. So when the world grows dark and the way forward seems unclear, do not search for rescue. Build the fire, light your lantern, and walk on. Because in the end, the strongest light comes not from the sky, but from within. Gratitude is the gateway to power. You cannot be both bitter and blessed at the same time. One clenches your fists, the other opens your hands. One closes your eyes, the other opens your spirit. Bitterness builds walls, gratitude builds bridges. One isolates, the other connects. If you want to rise, you must choose. Will you dwell on what's missing or awaken to what remains? Gratitude is not a soft virtue. It is a force, a discipline, a weapon in the war against despair. While others see it as sentiment, you must learn to see it as strategy. Gratitude is the key that unlocks strength, courage, and clear vision. It changes your chemistry, your countenance, your course. You may think, what do I have to be thankful for when everything's falling apart? But that's precisely the test. Gratitude doesn't begin when the storm ends. It begins inside the storm. It does not wait for comfort. It creates clarity. Can you see the gift in the grit, the lesson in the loss, the seed in the storm? Gratitude is not found. It is forged. It is hammered out in the fire of disappointment, in the heat of heartbreak, in the ache of unmet expectations. It does not arrive fully formed. It is built through choice again and again. Imagine this. You lose a job. The routine is gone. The paycheck vanished. But in that sudden stillness, you find time to reconsider your path, to question what you've been chasing. You begin to see not just what was taken, but what could be built. Or a relationship ends, the silence feels suffocating. But in that quiet, your voice grows louder. You hear yourself again. You reconnect with the version of you that had been buried beneath compromise. Or maybe a plan fails. It shatters into pieces, and in the rubble you find stronger materials to rebuild. Not the same plan, but a better one, aligned with a clearer vision. Every trial carries a treasure if you dare to look. Every setback hides a seed. The question is, will you search for it? Ask yourself honestly, what am I ignoring that I could be appreciating? Is it your breath, your ability to think clearly, the fact that you are still here, able to try again? Gratitude begins with the ordinary, the overlooked, the assumed, the morning sun on your face, the taste of water when you're parched, the friend who checks in, the strength you didn't know you had until you had to use it. It does not require a perfect life. It asks only for an open heart. Gratitude is not the end result of getting everything you want. It is the starting fuel for getting through everything you must. It flips your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from not enough to more than I knew. You were never promised ease. That was never the deal. But you were given a mind that can reframe any reality. You were given the power to choose where you focus, what you magnify, and what you build upon. Use it. Don't let bitterness blind you. Open your eyes. Start each day not with a complaint, but with a question. What strength can I find today through thankfulness? The person who asks that question becomes invincible, because while pain is inevitable, despair is optional. While circumstances can shake you, they cannot shatter the spirit of someone grounded in gratitude. You become a lighthouse, steady, bright, immovable. Gratitude is a posture, a habit, a rebellion against the darkness. And the more you practice it, the more resilient you become, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. So today, choose to see what remains. Choose to honor the hidden blessings. Choose to speak thanks into the silence. Because every time you do, you trade bitterness for boldness. You trade sorrow for strength. You trade fear for faith. And in that sacred exchange, you find not just peace, you find power. Your circle shapes your strength. Show me your closest companions, and I will show you your future. Who you walk with determines how far you rise. The direction of your life is often found in the footsteps of your company. Walk with giants and you will rise. Sit with doubters and your dream will shrink to fit their fears. Energy is contagious, not just in moments of celebration, but in the quiet spaces where habits are shaped. Surround yourself with people who complain, who excuse, who delay, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, your fire begins to flicker. Your standards lower. Your dreams grow dull. You begin to accept what once felt unacceptable. It happens not in one decision, but in 1,000 tiny compromises. But when you surround yourself with those who challenge you, who live with purpose, who stretch your thinking, who won't let you settle, you begin to change. Not because they force you, but because their very presence reminds you of who you can become. Their discipline awakens yours. Their clarity sharpens yours. Their courage stirs yours. You rise by reflection. You grow by proximity. Imagine you're rowing across a wide river. Alone you tire. The current wears you down. Every stroke feels heavier than the last. But now imagine others rowing beside you, matching your rhythm, speaking life when doubt creeps in. You move forward not only faster, but with joy. That is the power of aligned fellowship. Not just company, but comrades. Not just presence, but partnership. Ask yourself, who do you confide in when the weight grows heavy? Who listens not just to respond, but to understand? Who sharpens your ideas, challenges your fears, pushes you to go further than your excuses? If you're the smartest, the most disciplined, the most driven person in the room, not because you don't belong, but because you are meant to grow. And growth demands friction. Friction demands people who are unafraid to see more in you than you sometimes see in yourself. This is not about status, not about prestige. It's about alignment. Alignment with people who honor your calling, who refuse to let you drift, who remind you, gently or boldly, that you are built for more, that mediocrity is not your home. True allies don't flatter you, they refine you. They don't cheer for your mask, they champion your potential. They don't just sit through your storms, they help you build shelter within them. And when you fall, they do not judge the stumble, they extend a hand and a higher standard. If you are serious about staying strong through the storms of life, audit your circle. Evaluate not just who is around you, but what they are pulling out of you. Are they reinforcing your weakness or calling forth your strength? Are they feeding your fears or strengthening your faith? Then, reinforce your circle. Build with intention. Choose allies of ambition, faith, and action, people who pray with you and plan with you, who celebrate your wins and challenge your complacency, who understand that loyalty is not agreement but alignment with your highest good. Yes, the lone wolf may survive, but survival is not the goal. The thriving person, they thrive in a pack of purpose, in a tribe of transformation, in a circle that reflects not just where they are, but where they are going. So choose your company like your future depends on it, because it does. Walk with those who speak life, who live truth, who carry vision. And soon you will look back and realize you didn't just go further, you became better. Together, action cures fear. Fear is not destroyed by thinking, it is destroyed by doing. You cannot outthink fear. You cannot reason it into silence. The longer you sit with it, the louder it becomes. It grows in the shadows of delay, magnifying every worst-case scenario, whispering what-ifs until you're paralyzed. But the moment you act, fear begins to lose its grip. Like fog under the morning sun, it fades in the presence of motion. You may say, "But I'm not ready." Let me remind you of something essential. No one ever feels fully ready. Readiness is a myth. Action is the truth. You don't wait until you're fearless to move. You move. And that is how you train courage. Every brave soul you admire began not with certainty, but with a shaky step. Picture a person standing before a great wall. It looms, cold and towering, a monument to everything they think they cannot do. The wall mocks them. It lists their failures. It repeats their doubts. And so they stand, frozen. But the moment they reach up, find a crack and lift their foot, something shifts. The wall doesn't shrink, but the climber grows. Each handhold taken, each foothold earned, changes the balance. Why? Because action makes you bigger. Fear wants you to forget that. What are you hesitating on? A decision that could change your life? A conversation you've been avoiding? A dream you've buried under someday? Fear loves hesitation. It feeds on delay. It thrives in the gap between knowing and doing. But you can break its back with one bold step. Do not wait for the feeling of confidence. It rarely shows up on its own. Confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a result. You create confidence through motion. You build belief by beginning. Write the letter. Take the walk. Launch the idea. Let your body lead your belief. Action is not just a reaction to life. It is how you shape life. You are not a passenger on the road to your purpose. You are the one steering. And the wheel only responds when you move. In the war between fear and your future, motion is your sword. It cuts through doubt. It slices through hesitation. And the best part, that sword is always within reach. Every time you choose to act, no matter how small the step, you change your brain, you shift the narrative from "I can't" to "I'm trying," and then from "I'm trying" to "I'm doing." Fear will still whisper, that's its nature, but you don't have to listen. You respond not with argument, but with action. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that fear doesn't want me to do? Then do it, not tomorrow, now. Because the longer you wait, the stronger fear becomes. But the moment you move, fear weakens. You were never meant to be caged by doubt. You were designed to create, to climb, to conquer. And none of that happens while standing still. So rise, move, do, let action lead, let courage follow, and let fear fall behind you where it belongs. Legacy is built in the now. Legacy is not something you leave, it is something you build while breathing. It is not reserved for the famous or the fortunate. It is not about marble statues or grand speeches. Legacy is about how you live today. It is not about being remembered someday. It is about living remembered now, in the hearts of those you touch, in the eyes of those you lead, in the choices you make, even